everybody, welcome to Off the Rack. I'm Sal.
And I'm Tiffany.
Today we got a twofer for you. We're talking about Angela, Queen of Hel, #1 from the all-new, all-different Marvel, and we're doing Batgirl #45 from DC Comics. If you are more of a DC fan than a Marvel fan, then you should go to the timestamp below us, and it'll skip right to the Batgirl episode. But for now, let's talk about Angela, Queen of Hel.
Awesome, let's do it.
Now, this is spinning right out of 1602, Angela?
No.
Okay. I mean, no, it isn't, but like...
It is and it's not.
It feels like it.
It could, but it actually is spinning out of Angela...
Asgardian assassin or something.
Yes, that's what it's... That's what it is. It's literally what it is. It's not really all new, all different.
Like many of the all new, all different titles from Marvel, nothing very new or different about it.
But it is written by Marguerite Bennett, who did write the 1602. And the art is by Kim Jacinto, but there's also art by Stephanie Hans.
Yes.
And she also did the art over in the 1602 one, so that really makes it feel like it's the 1602.
Yeah. So what were your initial feelings about this title?
I gotta tell you, because in my head it was connected to Angela's 1602, I was like, what's wrong with everybody?
Yeah.
But I was really glad to see Stephanie Hans' art back, and that really gave me this sense of comfort.
That, we'll get into the art.
Yeah, we'll get into the art. But overall, like, this really was a lot of domino setting up for me. I was like, okay, like, really there needed to be a lot to get this story going, because I think they were worried people weren't sure where the story was going to really come from. That's just what it felt like to me. I was like, whoa, we're setting this up a lot.
This felt like a lot of setup, like you said, but for me, it felt more like it was referencing a lot of things that took place before that I didn't know about or have any context for.
Right.
And I felt like, unlike a lot of the all-new, all-different titles, even though you don't really have context for being dropped right in the middle of continuity, which is exactly what they're doing. Don't let them tell you otherwise. They are literally back where they were before, and there's no change whatsoever in the story, except they're 8 months later or something. With this, I was completely lost, and I never really found my footing with this title.
That's really fair. I mean, the only thing I had going for me was because I read 1602, so I at least had familiarity with the characters.
That actually kind of screwed me up because of my familiarity with 1602.
Really?
I felt like those characters, Angela and Sarah, were much more connected and had a lot more... I don't know. It felt alienating.
Right, and honestly... I did not read Angela Asgardian Assassin.
No.
I did look up some facts about it before that, or after I read it, I was like, all right, hang on, I'm missing something here.
Right.
So I went back and I did a little research on it, so that kind of filled in the gaps for me, so things made a little more sense. 1602 version of this, they have had a much longer standing relationship, clearly.
Yes.
This version of it, they have they're less...
Oh, they're less connected.
Yeah. Well, they are connected, but then there was...
they have less time
There was
together.
a betrayal, but not by either of them. Someone, took the form of Sarah and, tricked Angela.
Okay.
So, that's...
That's where the attitude's coming from.
I guess that's where the attitude's coming from, and that could also explain what's happening at the end. So, there's I mean, you're dealing with magic. That happens, apparently.
That's true. What did you think of the art for this title? Because... Damn.
I really like Stephanie Hans' art. I liked Kim's art a little less.
Yes, I felt the exact same way. I was on board.
I was on board
when I first read, but then Stephanie Hans' art came in and was like, "Get out of the way!"
That's
just pushed it right out of the way.
We go back to Kim's art right at the end. I was like,
and I'm like,
yeah, it totally was fine. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. It still works. It kind of has that old, not necessarily, McFarlane Spawn era version of Angela, but
would be.
It kind of, it feels closer to that than what I was used to in an Angela book. We bring in Stephanie's work, and I was like, right.
This is what it should. This is what it could be.
Awesome, and I love it.
You can't fix it again.
It's really interesting. If they just kept Kim Jacinto's art,
yes,
I wouldn't have even I
wouldn't have thought about it.
I would have been like, oh man, if only they had done that. But this is good,
right?
But to put them next to each other, Stephanie's art just works
so
much more in this.
It's so different because of our familiarity with 1602. It was like coming home for those characters, and also just objectively speaking, I prefer it.
Yeah, no, I do too. It really works for me in this magical, mythical scenario.
Yeah, and plus, I think it speaks to Bennett's strengths because Bennett is much more, flowery and especially with these characters. I don't mean in general.
No, but
she really plays with the characters, and Hans really knows to play to those strengths.
Oh yeah, I agree 100%. and I know we didn't really talk too much about the writing.
Well, we'll get into
okay,
that.
good.
But let's segue into it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what you thought about it.
I thought it was alienating and frustrating. I thought that the characters were interchangeably spoken.
Really?
I thought the dialogue was not especially... this is the problem, is that I have high expectations for Marguerite Bennett because of the work she's done.
Yes.
I'm thinking specifically DC Bombshells, 1602 in general. But A-Force, where she has to juggle 1,000 characters, all of them female, and all of them having different voices, perspectives, and outlooks.
Right.
So for this, I was like, why? Where is this? What am I? I couldn't find my footing.
See, now I thought that she did a really good job because where I found my anchor was in Sarah, especially at the beginning.
That's where I was expecting to find it.
I did find it. For me, the fact that she was once again narrating and breaking that fourth wall for us, it really brought me back in.
For me, that felt disjointed. Her narration was welcome, but it felt like it clashed with the tone and the story that was going on.
Okay, that's fair. That's absolutely fair. And I think, and we'll have to see how it goes, but I feel like it could just be because they were trying to set this up.
Yeah. Because it's Bennett.
Yeah.
I'll give it another issue.
Yeah.
I would completely dismiss it if it wasn't.
No, I agree. Even though, I said, I did find my footing inevitably, and I did look up.
I shouldn't have to work this hard.
I shouldn't have to, yeah, you're right.
To like a comic.
And I know part of it for me is because I enjoyed 1602 so much that I'm it has to get back to that level.
Right.
But it may never get back to that level. Well, I have to accept that.
It's just because they're two disparate stories from completely different settings.
And it could be that for me, this style of book, these characters fit best in that type of world.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be that we don't fit here.
But still, the image of Angela with Hel's mask, that was awesome. Even if that was the art before we had...
I am more a fan of the idea of Angela being Queen of Hel than I am reading about it.
Yeah.
I'd much rather see her deal with the Marvel Universe and Asgard and be in charge of that realm than watch the adventures of Angela and Sarah. The ones that were presented here.
Right. No, I understand that. I do understand that.
And her being the Queen of Hel means that she can't go on merry adventures with Sarah.
That's why they started where they started it, where we're seeing how we got to that point.
Right. So, all right. But, I guess we get that. That's fair. All right.
But, I think the reason I'm willing to give it a chance is because of 1602.
Yeah.
Without 1602, I have a feeling I'd be I don't know what this is.
Yeah.
But part of the story looked really cool.
Right. Exactly.
And that's how I think a lot of readers coming into this might react.
I'm not sure.
You know what's interesting, though? This... To me, the more they got into the explanation of angels and what happened and why
that was cool.
That was cool, and that really reminded me of the 90s. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. I guess because of the Spawn era of comics
and also the fact that the Christian mythos was very City of Angels.
Yeah, absolutely.
The prophecy,
but
End of Days.
It's so interesting that they're trying to really tie Angela into Marvel even more. You know what I mean? There are Asgardians and there is Hel, but it's not that Hel.
Right, but it's not the one you're thinking of with the Malvolgia.
I love the image of Hel.
Yeah.
Green, the thing, but I don't know anything about her. Mm-mm. That very simple explanation of why it's called Hel and why she's called Hel, about how she is it and she influences it. I was okay.
Switching gears a little bit, we're talking about Batgirl number 45 from DC Comics, which was written by Cameron Stewart and Brendan Fletcher, with art by Babs Tarr. This one was... I picked these books this week, and one of them was, I'm here you go!
I'm yay, thank you!
Another one, I was I like that cover. And I really, really like Bab Tarr's depiction of Batgirl.
Mm-hmm. The last book I read was the annual, so you could imagine my absolute, what did I miss coming into this.
It's funny, because for me, as a veteran comic book reader, this, for me, is par for the course.
Okay.
These are the kinds of things where sometimes you need an issue where there's no bad guy. Sometimes you need an issue where we just show plot.
Right.
And we need to find our kicks where we can fit them, which is exactly what this book is. This book is all plot. It's all one event. It's the wedding of her friends. And they are okay, it's a Batgirl book with absolutely no Batgirl in it. How are we going to fit Batgirl in there? And they do it in their own way. And so there is Batgirl in there, but it could easily have just been a Talking Heads book.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I guess it really... What was the most shocking to me was the switch in art from the annual, but the annual did have many artists working on it, so I can't even judge that, and that's right out there. No, but the tone.
Right. Completely
tone
different.
really did shift, and I was like, whoa.
But we read one issue on Off the Rack where it for me it felt like the same. Yeah.
But I do like this did feel like a standalone issue, even though it's clearly setting up something.
Yes. This is one of those things where they were like, you got to tack on a thing at the end that cliffhangers them into that, otherwise people will jump off. You had the story, it has this beginning and end, and then a dun-dun-dun, and who cares?
Yeah, it's like the post-credits.
Yeah. But at the same time, I'm not a regular reader of Batgirl, so I am leaving the title after I read this book until the next time we review one. So, for me, it was not relevant, but I'm sure for regular Batgirl readers, it might have been.
Right, and I will say, though, even the cliffhanger, the more I thought about it, the more I was like, I kind of want to read the next one just to see if I'm right about what I think it's involved with. Mm-hmm. So I started, I don't know. Oh, yeah. Things are spinning.
Formulating ideas.
I know I'm not right.
Yeah. I don't know. What'd you think of the writing?
Okay, look, here's the thing. Batgirl is a really interesting character. And I don't mean she's interesting. But I mean, the whole situation surrounding her.
Right, because it's not, you can't just say, Batgirl's this character, and here's the black and white of it. No.
Right, you can't do that.
Batgirl is a complicated past that, while her experience has controversy from 30 years ago, that people are still upset about.
Yes, absolutely. So
it's got a lot of baggage.
It's just really interesting to see it like this now, where it's like a little tropey, a little bit. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit tropey. And I get it, because the fact is she's also just a person, and sometimes you have to write her like that. She's not always going to be fighting crime,
right? So
she does have to. If she has friends, they might get married, and she's going to have to do stuff like this. And
yes,
the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, sure, she would be the perfect maid of honor. Right? Because she's got to be super organized,
and she's always prepared because she's
part of the Bat family.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right.
Right, I'll give you that.
She's not being pigeonholed.
No.
And initially, I'll be honest with you, though, the way it was written, I was not offended, but I was like, really?
Yeah.
And then the more, I was like, relax. Overall, though, the story was really all over the place. Mm-hmm. And, whether or not Dick Grayson has anything to do with what happened at the end of that book, the fact that he shows up here, I'm like, it's a little soap opera-y.
Oh, it's incredibly.
And B, it's like, well, I guess weddings make people go crazy and do stupid things.
But why would he be affected?
I don't know.
With the incorporation of the text messaging in the book is and always has been very clever and always well done. It's always incorporated into the art, and I really like that. Mm-hmm. But clearly it's not for me.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. But I will say the Babs Tarr's art for me is for me. I really like the quick pencils and just the motion. Everything's moving.
Well, yeah. I mean, do you know what one of her favorite shows / mangas is?
Sailor Moon.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, she loves that.
That feels.
So
it feels
her
like
art is very Bishoujo inspired.
Yes, it looks very much like the new Sailor Moon cartoon or anime, I should say.
Yeah. So
not the old one.
No, but her art definitely has that influence. Manga bishoujo. Everything's kind of pretty, feel to it,
right? But I like it, and I like the action that you get with it. But also, you could have had a whole issue of them just talking, and it still works. Yeah, there's consistency there. There's lightness in it
because of the style. You always have a couple of panels, and this is just across the board with this type of thing where things are a little off. Mm-hmm. But that's kind of par for the course. Again, after I got past the shock of
how different it is.
Yeah, this isn't what I read last time. Realizing, of course, that was issues and issues ago.
Yes.
The art really does fit with this story tone, though. Yeah. So even if it is a little more aimed at a younger audience, this art fits it.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
It really, they do go hand in hand. Whether or not you're on board for that or not, they pair well together.
Right. I think so too.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you want to get either of these issues...
Oh, wait a minute! I forgot to mention one thing.
What was that?
There's a panel in the church.
Yes.
And what's funny is now that I looked up Babs Tarr because I just want to know a little bit more about her because I was like, what other... Did she work on Batgirl before? She has here and there, whatever. knowing that she's a Sailor Moon fan, in the church when the wedding's going down, right beforehand, when like they're like, "Where are you?"
Yeah.
In the text message, there's a pew in the church, and sitting there is Haruka, Michiru, and Setsuna, which is Sailor Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus.
Right.
The back of their heads. When I was reading it, I was like, this is just...
Yeah, what are these sailors doing?
Why are they there? Well, because she likes them. So they're there. And I'm like,
right.
That's
fun.
Adorable. So,
and I had to explain, like, this is something that artists do. They put in things they like.
It's just the back of them, but their hair is, for me, it's just so recognizable.
Yeah.
Especially Pluto's. So it's like, yep, it's her. So it's fun.
But if you want to get either of these titles, you can go in the description box down below this video, and you can click on them and get the digital versions of both of them. But we want to thank you guys for watching this episode of Off the Rack. I think this is the format we're going to stick with for a while, where we just do 2 books from rival companies and give them to you. Give us the slim skinny from our perspective. And of course, as always, we'll be doing this... I think on Mondays.
Oh,
so
Monday.
Catch us on Mondays for Off the Rack, and we'll see you guys next week with an all-new episode. So thanks so much for watching. I'm Sal.
And I'm Tiffany.
Keep on reading.